The views and opinions expressed on this channel are solely those of the host and guest and are intended for entertainment and discussion purposes only. This channel does not promote bias, hatred, or discrimination of any kind. All questions posed and thoughts shared are part of a critical thinking exercise and are not meant to offend or judge any individual or group. We encourage respectful dialogue and love for all. Please remember to think critically and engage thoughtfully. We aim to foster a positive and inclusive community where everyone feels welcome. Thank you for being a part of Risky Behavior ENT.
Risky behavior. Risky behavior.
Yo. What up, what up, what up, what up? I am back. Today's title is The Dangerous Word That Divides Us. And it rhymes with TOON. I can't wait to get into this. I really can't. Got an intro prepared. Tonight today. I planned on doing this later on tonight, but I'm gonna go ahead and get it in because I got something else I want to do later on. But today on Risky Behavior ENT, we're tackling a word that has hunted our history and poisoned our culture. It's a slur that was born out of racism, weaponized to demean, and yet somehow still finds its way into conversations within our own community. As your host, Diabolical, it is I. I am here to break down why this word should never be normalized, why repeating it only reinforces the chains of oppression, and how we can reclaim our dignity by refusing to let language that was designed to destroy us live on. This isn't just about a word, it's about respect, identity, and the power of choosing better. And for today, the word that we're going to be talking about is, you guessed it, coon. That's the word we're going to be talking about. Oh man, I got my brother in the building already, man. Shout out to and as you come in the room, man, if you would thumbs up, bring more people into the room to be most appreciated. What's up, my brother, Mr. Marcus himself? And no, I'm not talking about the porno star. Let me go ahead and start and share my screen. So all right. So I was watching a panel on the Ali and Fatty show, and they had Tommy Sotomayor and a couple other brothers and a sister by the name of Pop Culture Mika on the panel, and they were having a conversation when the word coon got brought up, which caused a debate about what the word means and why we use it for some black people and not with other black people. So, and I thought it was an interesting conversation. People were going over the meaning, but I don't really think people really know what that word means. All right. Mr. Marcus said he wish he was a corn star, man. Man, get in the game, dog. It ain't too late, man. I can't say that I will support that content, but I don't know. Shout out to my brother, the Prince of Petty, man. He's in the building, man. All right, so I'm watching this panel and the word coon got brought up, and what I realized is I don't think people realize what that word actually means. Because if they did, they would know that they shouldn't use it. Because here's my thing: I'm one of those people that says this, and it's just like with the word, the N word. When people say Negro, nigga, nigger, to me, it's all the same. I don't think that you can take a word and just change it and make it mean what you want it to mean. That's just me. And black people, I have to admit, we are the kings of doing that, right? Say, hey man, don't use the N word. Oh man, but we changed it. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. That word still is what it is. Because here's the thing, and I want every black person to think about this. If you actually change what the word nigga means, then why are you getting offensive when a white person use it? Hello. Thank you. So you couldn't have changed the meaning of it if you still get offended by it. If it didn't mean that no more, a white person should be able to walk up to a black person and say, "What's up, my nigga?" And you be okay with it. So you didn't change what the word mean. You know you didn't change what the word mean. You know how you still feel about the word. And that's what gets under my skin, man, when people say ignorant things like that. And it's like, come on, dog. Stop it. You don't have to be a liar. I'm about to go ahead and jump into this video. I'm starting it off with the brother Shaka Atmos. He was in the building. I was glad to see him. I hadn't seen him in a while. I don't know if you watch a lot of debates and stuff amongst the conscious community, the Israelites, the Kemetic people. Shaka Atmos is on the Kemetic side, and so I've watched a lot of his debates. So, oh man, Prince, my brother Prince said that's why he changed his name to Prince Ruckus on there. He talking about on the app Clubhouse, he would say things and that's one of the things, man. When we get into this word coon, the reason it started a debate is because one of the brothers used the word coon. And Tommy said, "Well, what does that word mean? Because it seems like y'all only call people coons when they don't fit into y'all box or your bubble of what you think a black person should say. If you black, you got to vote this way. If you black, you got to think this way. You got to feel this way. You got to be a monolith." And it seems like that's how y'all use the word. And so just unsure of what the word means at this point, because y'all just throw it around whenever you don't want to have a conversation with somebody. So. And I'm starting off with Shaka Atmos because what he said, and mind you, unless he can see into the future, I don't know. What he says means a lot when you think about how this conversation goes.
In many respects, you know, black folks are their own worst enemies because we not only do we have to deal with the racism, but then there's the classism amongst ourselves. Me personally, I know I don't get along with most black folks because, particularly most black folks in an ecosystem such as this, because they're bougie beyond belief. I don't have a problem with being bougie. I myself, I'm probably more of an elitist, but I'm going to be an elitist from an academic perspective. And I have to be careful with that because I don't want to end up looking down my nose at my own people simply because they just haven't had access to the type of education that I've had, right? So, you know, we all got our challenges, but those are the things that really don't make me go on a rant because I don't want to go on a rant. But those are the things that really get my goat, because those who are in the know have to sit there and pretend that what someone else is pontificating about or probably explicating upon, you got to sit there and pretend that they know what they are when you know the fact that they don't. They literally don't. And if you want to know what the currency is in the black community, the currency in the black community is emotions, it's feelings, right? Not this acumen. We pretend that it's acumen. It's not acumen, because where the rubber meets the road and when you scrutinize things and you put them under the microscope, you realize that most people are just, it's performative, right? I have to come off and pretend like I know what I'm talking about so I can get the proper response and I can get the proper feedback. And I don't want to look bad, right? When in fact, for the most part, you don't, you know? And so that's the culture that we live in. It's the same old thing. Growing up in the black community, everybody knows this and everybody can attest to this. And I know Tommy knows this. growing up in school, who were the cool kids? The stupid ones. The ones that were doing everything that they should not have been doing. And I don't think that that's limited to Black people. I think there's just a preponderance of it in our communities, right? When you have lack, you kind of have to compensate. And of course, we were always the poster children for lack. So coming from a community where you're the poster children for lack, you're going to have a preponderance of overcompensation. So the dummies in our community are real dummies. The bullies in our community, they're going to be excessively bullied. I saw things growing up in New York City that I'm grateful that high school students don't have to see today, but they have a whole different set of challenges with things like school, mass killings and things of that nature. But anyway, I don't want to go off on a rant. That's the whole Christian nationalism thing it's attached to everything else I just said, in that they're all false conversations. Yeah, they're literally all false conversations. I can't stand false conversations.
But it sounded like you had more problems with the Black community itself than with the Christian nationalists. Like, I'll just point these out, right? Like, when you say the Christian nationalists bar, or like, I'm tired of them, and then you go on a rant for 5 minutes about how bad the Black community is. It sounds like you are more bothered about the Black community than about the Christian nationalists.
Fatty, I like you because you are insightful. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I have a love-hate community. I have a love-hate relationship with my own community, but that's true for all people who have pursued a life of intellectualism. They're always going to be at odds with their fellow countrymen or their fellow denizens, even from a racial perspective. They're always going to be at odds with them because it's frustrating, and that's an understatement, but it's frustrating to watch the very people who you love and who you sacrifice for and want to fight for, to watch them bring about their own undoing, right? It's like, what do you do? It's what do you do? I can come and I can expose you to whatever. I can teach you. I can't learn for you, right? And so most of what I'm talking about is the culture of willful ignorance. There's some cowardice. There's some cowardice involved, and to some degree, I think even persons like myself are involved with it. But after a while, you get tired of getting beat up. You get tired of getting beat up for just telling the truth, which is one of the reasons why I love Tommy so much. Like, I have a great deal of respect for Tommy because, and let me tell you something, a lot of people really took Tommy's thing and they ran with it. They really, really ran with it, and he never got his flowers. And as much as I mean, look, I love Kevin Samuels, but you're looking at the original Kevin Samuels in the white hat over there. That's the man. That is the man. How do I know he's the man? Because I remember way back when, and I'm talking way back when most of you were probably still in high school, when Tommy was talking his talk, and I was getting phone calls from publicists in California, and people asking me, "Do you know Tommy?" I mean, a woman. I'm talking about, these were very well-seasoned, well-placed women with access, Black women I'm talking about, who they saw in Tommy someone who was willing to say the things that they wanted to say, but they didn't want to get the lashback. And so Tommy might not know this, but he had a fan club of well-seasoned Black women with access who were looking down the pipeline and looking at their younger counterparts saying, yeah, like, what the hell is going on? And Tommy was articulating it. He was articulating it eloquently. And so I will always have an undying respect for Tommy. Tommy and I don't agree on every single little thing, but I will always have an undying respect for Tommy. So I just had to put that out there. My thing with the Black community, yeah, it's hard to watch people that you love be the source of their own undoing. It's very hard. It's like anyone wants to slavery in this country. We don't want to tell the truth about
it. Anyone wants to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. And it kind of hinges on some of the things the brother Shaka was saying. And when I look at the landscape, whether it's Black women, whether it's liberalism, well, whatever these issues are.
Okay, all right. So this is the guy that is going to use the word coon. He's not going to use it this time speaking, but after he speaks, I believe Tommy speaks, then he speaks again. And then he uses the word, and then the whole debate comes on. I think it could have been a simple thing, but you'll see.
They all can stem back to the faults that the Christian white nationalist conservatives have created. In general, slavery is not nothing new. Only thing that was different about slavery in America was chattel slavery, right? And so conquering of nations, all of these things took place several times concurrently throughout history. The only difference is when the when the European Christians came to America and they set up these colonies and they enslaved everybody, right? Well, not everybody. They're the only group that put women in charge of the men. Okay, a lot of people don't understand the dynamics of the plantation. The plantations were ran by Black women. They were always in a position of power. Okay, so when you want to talk about whether that's Black women and Black men dynamics and the liberal, the fact that the Black community has a lot of these problems was because they were constructed by the right-wing conservatives not of today, but where they descend from. When you want to talk about the issues that the Christian conservatives complain about immigration, all of the immigrants were brought in here to make sure that they wasn't going to give those opportunities to the Black folks who fought in the Civil War and who did all these other things to fight for these freedoms. When you want to talk about mass incarceration, all of these things that create this psychosis in the Black community, all of these things that the brother was complaining about, you can trace this back to policies where they empowered the women over the men. They brought in drugs in the community. All of the men who, from Booker T. Washington, from all of these other great Black men who said, okay, we're not going to degrade ourselves in our intellect, you know, we're going to do for self. Whatever group you're talking about, whether that's the Nation of Islam, even when you talk about the issue of Islamic terrorism and things like that they're speaking about, right? They brought in the Muslims from the overseas instead of to replace the image and the outlook of the native-born Black population of Muslims that was here, who had a completely different understanding of how to operate in America. So a lot of the policies and a lot of the things that are being complained about, it stems from them. When you look at the fact that they say that, like the brother was pointing out, that there's no real solution. Nobody's really, care about solutions. Everything's about image. This is, again, something that they created. They created this system of celebrityism and everybody doing whatever they have to do to get a dollar under the concept of capitalism. All of these things. Okay, for instance, when you talk about victimization, there's power in victimization, because what happens is if you're able to be the victim, now it justifies what you're going to do in response to that victimization. So when you look at all of the groups in America that has been quote unquote victims, it always comes at the behest of them justifying what they want to do to balance out the victimization or them being victims. So for me, I've had run-ins. I remember when Tommy Sotomayor was, for me, it was 2013. But I was on a different branch, right? I was coming in speaking about Black feminism as it being the biggest problem in the Black community, right? But everybody turned on me, right? And I said, you know what? What has to happen is Black men have to see other women from other races, other nationalities as viable, because the power that they held in the community was so strong that unless they saw any other viable women as possible mates, then that level of control that they had on the community would never be broken. And that was systemically set up by the Christian right-wing nationalists, because they're the ones who put the women in charge of the community. So when you want to talk about the downfall of whether that's stupidity being in the schools and different things like that, where in the Black community, the idiots and the people who don't know nothing, there's no respect for scholarship. The reason that's a thing is because the men were not running the community. Even when you look at the fact of when you point out what was that era where they didn't have the Harlem Renaissance. During the Harlem Renaissance, right, you had the Depression. The Great Depression ran concurrent with the Harlem Renaissance. The Depression happened because the banks went belly up. They didn't allow Black people to have bank accounts back then. They just didn't. They didn't allow them to have bank accounts. So they had to save cash in the mattresses and in their houses. They couldn't bank. So Black people were flourishing during this time. So as you go on into the 60s, when you talk about Martin Luther King and him talking,
I want y'all to pay attention that this guy sounds very intelligent. He just sounds that way though. It just sounds that way.
talking about integration was done so they could take the black dollar because it wasn't circulating throughout the entire the entire community of America. They needed that tax revenue. They needed access to that money. So nothing that has been done that has become a problem either in the black community or the larger white community, it all stems back from the decisions that the Christian right-wing Republicans set in motion. Like I said before, it's either their action or inaction on things. It was them that allowed the liberals to run crazy like this and to implement policies where you're talking about I don't know if you can say that, I don't want to trigger the algorithm, but the trans community and the LGBT and all of these things being an issue in our community. It was their inaction to put an end to these policies even being a thing, because you got to remember, it took some of them to vote on these policies to put it in place. Conservative means you're trying to conserve. That means you're trying to set the standard of what the country is about. The liberals, at least this is how I learned it in school, liberals is about progress, right? They call them progressive. So they're on the fringes. They're always going to be on the fringes. The standard of what the country is supposed to be to conserve what the country is. So it's their inaction or their action to do or not do that has led to where we are. So that's why I'm just tired of hearing them complain about being victims, because at the same rate, it was their inaction and action that led to where we at now. You know, so I'll say that.
Can we get a conservative?
Alrighty. Now I want people to just remember and think about the things that brother was just saying and speaking. He seemed to place, because later on in the conversation he's going to say that, well, hey, I'm not liberal, I'm not conservative, I'm not any of those things, and he won't really say where he stands. Okay. However, if you notice, he kind of places majority of the accountability on conservative. But then he'll say, well, yeah, you know, so when someone says, okay, well, you must be liberal, he'll say, well, I didn't say I was liberal. You kind of absolve them of everything they did, right? I mean, one wouldn't assume that you were in the middle because you seem pretty biased in the things that you say. More on that after Tommy speaks.
/ Republican / Christian replying to what he said. Do you think there's responsibility from the conservative side on how the black community now is behaving and the results that they have?
Why would the conservatives be the ones that have anything to do with the blacks? Blacks turned away from the conservative movement a long time ago. Blacks had decided that they wanted to be liberals and then be used as the ultimate liberal tools. If you look most of the time when they try to show you, I just saw with my daughter, I'm sitting on the couch with the family eating food, and then a commercial came on, and the commercial was for Old Navy. The two people were on there and they were saying, we're here with the influencer. And while they were saying this, it was a dude with box braids or whatever you want to call them, a whole goatee doing like this while they were talking. And then he's, oh my God, and doing like that. And y'all know how I discuss black women. I say they become men with vaginas. You cannot tell the difference between this guy and this girl because they both act the damn same. She'll tell you to suck her D real quick, and it'll be a woman. She'll be out with go and get her hair done and nails done, and then fight at Popeyes over some hot sauce. That don't sound like what a woman would do. But these women are doing kind of like what men would do. So when you blame something on conservatives, conservatives actually would require and like for their black women not to be walking around in blonde, blue, green, gray, all these wigs. Conservatives think that look weird. You know who thinks it's okay for you to be this black woman? Liberals. Liberals are the one that put the Old Navy commercial out there. Liberals are the one that told you, join our movement of feminism, even though your man was not oppressing you at all. Your man was more oppressed by the white man than you were. Let me say this again. Your black man at the time was more oppressed by the white man than you were. You know why? Because you've always been able to sleep with the white man and nothing happens to you. But as soon as a black man whistled at a white woman, he had a whole engine around his neck. He was buried and shot and all kinds of stuff, and nothing happened to the man who did it. So anytime you black men listen to a black woman talk about some we, no ma'am, unless you from France, I don't want to hear nothing about your we. You were one of the people who helped the white man. You were the right hand of white supremacy when every time the white man put a microphone in your face in the 70s.
Yo, shout out to the chat, American polymath, man, Prince and Marcus, man. Y'all saying some good things. This is why, like, people like y'all will never make it to these shows, right? Because the things, you know, y'all won't make it to the show because they're not able to pull their little word salad tricks on you. You know, like that guy saying that all that word salad, and he's, you know what was this was scary about it. He was able to say all of that and it did not sound like an attack. It didn't, because his tone and stuff. And I want y'all to see that after Tommy speaks, he's going to do it again. And if you go by his tone, it's not an attack. And after he attacks, he's going to pretend like he never attacked. It is a crazy thing to see, man. Thank God these conversations are recorded. Oh, Prince, you about to see that he's full of it. You're about to see that he is full of it. Watch. Now, mind you, Tommy is firing back. He's passionate. And I want to let y'all know, be very clear. I got a video that I just did recently where some people would assume I was attacking Tommy, but Tommy did some things that I thought were wrong and I had to call it out. So there's not no bias. I just only go with who I think is being logical, rational, reasonable, and being honest. That's all I do. I'm not friends with none of these people.
His 80s and 90s and told you, well, what's going on with you? And you said, well, I'm doing great. It's these black men that we're saddled with who go to jail, who can't pay for their children, who are not as educated as us. Y'all went all on television doing that because you thought you was better than us. You could watch all these TV shows where they allowed Diane Carroll to lay up with white men on TV in the 70s. Diane Carroll never got her life threatened. My man, Mr. Bojangles, yeah, he married a white woman and they told him, you can't come to the White House. Sammy Davis Jr., if you didn't know. So the black woman had been laying up with white men for years and nobody said a word. There was no man act for the white man laying up with you, was it? Just like right now, today, you can watch black women sit and argue with the police for 99 straight minutes on them body cams. And he still be up there pleading with her. Look like race play. Look like the beginning of Ghetto Gaggers. Tell me I'm lying. I done watched a couple of them just pulled out some lotion. I said, you know what? I know what's about to happen. Let me get ready. So, but you watch a black man sit up there and argue with the same cop. He done been tased, popped. Next thing you know, he gonna hear them sweet sounds coming down from that nightstick. He done beat him down. Don't you be laughing about that, Shaka? What you know about that nightstick? You don't know nothing about that. But this was gonna happen. So when you talk about what the conservative movement is, the conservative movement actually would like their blacks to be a lot more calm.
Like the way you said, they're blacks.
They're blacks. Yeah, they like that.
I shouldn't laugh at that joke. My granddaddy told me a story when they was out there marching one time, and old lady, older, like old black lady fell. And my granddad said he was a young man, and when the old lady fell, he stopped running to help her get to her feet. He said when he was bending down to help her get up, he felt the wind just, it felt like, he said, the police officer swung was the baton at the time, what they call it. He said he swung it so hard, it felt like a bullet was grazing him in the back of his head, but it didn't connect all the way. It was just like, he said if he would have connected, he's sure his skull would have cracked open. I said, man, what you do, granddad? He said, man, I left that old ass lady right there. And took off. I'm telling you, it's insane. Oh man. What up, Frank? You said, nigga, be a man, you just don't like time. You talking about me or I don't think Fatty likes Tommy anymore. Because Fatty's gonna pick an argument with Tommy as well. Yeah, Fatty and Ali got something against Tommy. They're gonna kind of be going at him a little bit. Ali likes to act like he's not going at somebody, but you could tell he is. Him and Fatty, I'm not sure why they were so dishonest during this conversation and going at Tommy like that. Because Tommy asked a simple question, he didn't attack. He's being funny. He's having fun in the conversation, and it's insane how they did him during this conversation. What's up, Battlezone?
They're blacks.
But you just proved my point. You just proved my point.
They want their niggers to be, yes.
You just proved my point. You just proved my point.
Yes, they want their niggers. Good. What is your point, man? Go ahead, bro.
No,
One second, friends. One second.
Now
By the
watch
way,
this.
Remember, we are on YouTube.
Hold on.
You just proved my point. You just proved my
Shaka, you what you know about that nice thing? You don't know nothing about that, but this what's gonna happen. So when you talk about what the conservative movement is, the conservative movement actually would like their blacks to be a lot more calm.
Like the way he said, they're blacks.
They're blacks. Yeah, they like they're blacks.
But you just proved my point. You just proved my point.
They want their niggers to be, yes.
You just proved my point. You just proved.
I want you to remember that. That's going to come up later on in the conversation. Fatty is going to act as if Tommy in this conversation was like calling somebody a name to end the conversation, but they're joking and laughing at the end of this when Negras and blacks comes up in the conversation. It's said in a joking way, saying this is how those old school, this is how these conservative whites want their blacks to act.
Yes, they want their niggers. Good. What is your point, man? Go ahead, bro.
No,
One second, friends. One second. By the way, remember we are on YouTube. Be careful with the TOS, please. Monster,
Okay.
go ahead. You got
So
it.
that's my point. Who gave black women this power over black men? How did the liberals get power? When blacks, the first time blacks were able to vote, they were Republicans. That's historical. Fresh out of slavery, in the Jim Crow era, all of these different eras, black people were largely Republican and voted Republican, and even to this day are still largely conservative. The reason you even have
it wouldn't have been them though. What is this guy talking about? And he's going to say in this conversation he knows history. It wasn't them. Black people also had a very high marriage rate at the time. It was not matriarchal at that point.
pushback in that regard is when it comes to values, black people are mostly conservative in their values. Okay, so where did the liberals get the power from, and who flipped it? So this is my point. Hold on. I'm just saying this is my point. See, I'm not in favor of saying the liberals is bad and then saying, okay, I'm gonna go coon for the conservatives, because it was the conservatives who put black women in power. The liberals, the liberals, whatever shade of, whether that's democratic socialist, whatever they're talking about, they didn't get the power in this country just by happen chance. Okay, there were things that took place that led to them actually getting the power. So my point is, when you look at the track record of black people being Republicans, having traditional values, where did this change come from when they all of a sudden went liberal? At what point?
Go ahead, Tommy.
Okay.
And then we get Mick over here. Go ahead.
See, and no offense, brother, but this is why I can always tell the intellect of a person when a person just starts saying coon. When you are born in a certain era and you just keep using coon, you're not very bright. Bright people.
Nah, you don't know me, brother. You don't know me.
I didn't cut you off when you was talking to young Carl.
Yeah, I gotta rewind it.
It was not shit. The liberals, that Hold on. I'm just saying this is mostly conservative in their values. Okay, so where did the liberals get the power from, and who flipped it? So this is my point. Hold on. I'm just saying this is my point. See, I'm not in favor of saying the liberals is bad and then saying, okay, I'm gonna go coon for the conservatives, because it was the conservatives who put black women in power. The liberals, the liberals, whatever shade of, whether that's democratic socialist, whatever they're talking about, they didn't get the power in this country just by happen chance. Okay, there were things that took place that led to them actually getting the power. So my point is, when you look at the track record of black people being Republicans, having traditional values, where did this change come from when they all of a sudden went liberal? At what point?
Go ahead, Tommy.
Okay.
And then we get Mick over here. Go ahead.
See, and no offense, brother, but this is why I can always tell the intellect of a person when a person just starts saying coon. When you are born in a certain era and you just keep using coon, you're not very bright. Bright people.
Nah, you don't know me, brother. You don't know me.
I didn't cut you off when you was talking to young Carl Malone.
You are going to have the chance to rebuttal, man.
I didn't cut you off, young Carl.
So
let me finish.
About you. He was
from the chat, I think.
I said I use coon. I said
no,
coon.
I'm saying anybody who uses the word, I don't care who you are. When you say the word coon, that's not a bright person. First off, where the word came from. And that's the problem with a lot of blacks. They want to be junior KKK. Have you noticed they act just like what the KKK would do? The white man made fun of the black man's color. Soon as you pro-blacks get some kind of power, y'all call a nigga crispy, blacky, darky. So y'all make fun of the same black features that a white person would. You be the first person to call somebody nappy head, big lip. Y'all do that. So the white man called you a coon, and now you done made it cool to call a black man a coon because you don't agree with him. You said it's one thing to do something for the liberals. Then you said cooning for the conservatives. So you wasn't cooning for the liberals. Here's the problem. You done went from one slave master to the other slave master. You ain't never heard me sit up here and tell you the white man over here is better than the white man over there. If you're going to tell me one white man, or you're going to say white man is racist, then why is it that you young blacks love to act like the liberals are accidentally bad? They just good on the good. But them damn conservatives use a coon if you listen to them. Coon is buck, coon is buck. Y'all niggas talk like y'all from 1912. Grow up and get your damn language up. Stop using the language from back in 1912. I don't want to hear you say soft shoe. Your shoes ain't soft, nigga. I don't want to hear you talk about no coons. I don't want to hear you talk about nothing. Talk about something you know. Y'all are some comforted slaves. You got Central Air.
I ain't no slave.
Yo, you got Central Air. You got heat. You got a car. You can call the white man what you want to, can't you? And he can't do nothing. But you talk like you live back prior to Jim Crow.
Hey, yo, and Prince, y'all see, like, with the dude being, he's being a liar, right? Because he also was saying before, like, saying that he follows Tommy, he know Tommy and everything, right? So he know the word that Tommy don't like, and he pointed out first everything with the conservatives, and so Tommy said, "Wait a minute, why you're not saying anything about the liberals?" Right? His response is, "Well, I'm not going to say the liberals are all bad and then be cooning for the conservatives." And then said, "Well, no, I wasn't talking about you, Tommy," even though you're responding directly to him, even though you know that's the word Tommy don't like, but you're gonna lie and act as if you wasn't saying that to him.
You got all kind of heat for a black person again. You didn't call nobody who do stuff for the liberals coons.
Well, I have a different term for them. I have a different term for the liberals. Actually, I'm not a liberal. Okay, I'm not a liberal. I'm not a conservative. I don't side with the liberals. The liberals, to me.
Why did you not call them the blacks who are on the liberal side any name? You called them no name.
Because the reason I didn't is because I don't know if that would trigger the term and service situation as far as for the liberals. You can't say
so you can't say comfortable beating up on people who won't report it to the police.
No. I don't want to harm the brother's channel. But
you see how he lied. So he says that he doesn't want to harm the brother's channel, with the word coon, even though he did use the word coon, he just used it against the conservatives, but he won't use it against the liberals. He'll say that, hey, well, if both these people are having the same behavior amongst both sides, but why are you only calling one side this name, but you won't call the other side this name? And now he's caught up in his lie. And he's, oh, no, I just didn't want to mess up his channel. So why use the word at all? Me as a content creator, I know you're not supposed to use that word necessarily outside of. Now, here's the thing. You can use those words in conversations like this because you're not bashing people. You're not discriminating, being derogatory, being racist or anything like that. You're having an educational discussion about the word. But like, say if I wanted to put that word in the title or something like that, it would be an issue. You see what I'm saying?
But the whole
Okay, so then don't call nobody a coon because that word can get him. So coon won't get. So you're saying I'll use the word coon, but only towards the right because I know the right side will allow the people to beat up on.
No, not that allowed. Not that allowed. No, not that allowed. I have words for the liberals as well. Anybody that knows me knows I'm not liberal. I don't support anything the liberals stand for. I don't support any of that. So if you're talking,
what he said. He could have just simply said, if I'm not willing to call a left a coon, I won't call a right a coon.
No, it's the same way you can say certain things on here without having, you can't mention the small.
That doesn't make sense what you're saying. No. Coon, it's now against the term of service.
No, listen, I got smoke.
I got smoke. Means I don't. I'm confused.
Yeah, what it mean? Well, you should know what it means because as many times as your channel got strike, you know you can say certain things and you can't say other things. That's all I'm making.
Hold on. I'm glad.
Conservatives, black conservatives. Hold on, I'll let you go. Black conservatives tend, just like you said, our white people are better than the other white people. That's what you said. So
no, I said that's how y'all feel.
No, that's not how I feel. That's not how I feel. I don't have any masters. The whole point I'm saying is the black people who support white conservatives like to tap dance for them. And the black people who like to support the liberals are just gay and the black feminists, even the men.
But
so
what are they
none
called?
of that does,
Is that not a mindset?
But what are they called?
You see that? So he will say that because here's what it is. At the end of the day, I don't think none of us know if we're right or wrong, right? You know, I don't bash people for their political views, man. People have things that they think going to make the country or the world a better place. And then on the other side, they say, well, no, these things are going to make the country and the world a better place. Cool. But if you are going to use certain words and certain terms to bash other people, if I point out the same behavior on your side, you should be an honest person, a fair person, and say, oh, okay, well, I would have to call them that too. So if you look over at a black person and you say, well, he's tap dancing for the conservatives, right? And he points back at you and says, look, you're wearing the same shoes I'm wearing. I am wearing the same shoes you're wearing. Oh man, you clicking your heels together the same as me. Hold on, I am clicking my heels together. Man, lift your shoe up. Man, you got metal on the bottom of your shoes the same way I do. An honest person would say, you know what? I'm tap dancing too. And that's all Tommy is saying. You're tap dancing. You literally were speaking of the liberals who you said you got smoke for them too. And you absolved them of all their crimes. And then blamed it all on one side, which is ridiculous. When if you were a fair and unbiased person and you had smoke for both, you would just go down because he's going to say multiple times in this conversation, oh, I'm into history. You would have went down through history. And now what he tried to make it seem like he called them out because he would mention certain things that they do on the liberal side. But then he would, at the end of the day, say it's still on the conservatives because they allowed it. Or even if he couldn't prove that they allowed it, he would say it was through their action or not taking action that they caused this. So I think he's probably mainly leaning more towards being a liberal. But for this argument, he just rather be dishonest and say that he's not.
What call?
I was still waiting.
I see you, Shaka. I see you.
I was still waiting.
He said gay. That's what they call
No,
it.
no,
I just said that.
no, because they're gay conservatives. What are
Yeah, but the
what are
gays don't run the
called
conservative
on
party.
the left?
The gays don't.
No,
run the
hold on,
conservative
hold on. So we can ask him a direct question. Hey, Mansa, are you saying the people that's selling out on the right and the left are both coons?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
Because he said it.
Why is it when you talk, you only say that word? And it's not just you, but you're here.
No.
They
all do.
No,
Hold on, real.
You're not going to typecast me as a liberal supporter.
Hold on. I've been quiet the entire time.
She hasn't said that, man.
Absolutely the entire time. So, but what I'm saying is, because you say you're not a liberal, so I don't know what you are, but you talk a little liberal, so I'm gonna throw you over there a little bit.
What's talking
because
liberal?
you haven't said what you are, so I can only assume from what
Why do I have to see? That's the problem. Why do I have to choose between being a liberal and a conservative?
You
why does it?
Yo, what up? Killer. What's up, my sister in here? How you doing?
Person got to be a coon because you don't agree with him.
You can say you're atheist.
We're going to let Mika finish. I'll have the chance to reply. If she directs herself to one person, the person has just to reply. I see you, Shaka. You are up, and then I will go to the rest of the panelists that didn't talk. Okay, finish your point, Mika.
Because you can say you're atheist, agnostic, or whatever religion you follow. Right? There is something you follow. Nobody is nothing. Right? So that's why I was asking. So I don't just assume. But nevertheless, what I'm saying is you sat here with your whole chest and said that conservatives, Black conservatives or conservatives of color are definitely coons. I was asking what is the verbiage for liberals? Because if the Black conservative is a coon, what is the person that's okay with killing 90 million babies at one clip? What is the person that's okay with not having an actual family unit, right? Having this become a norm. What is the person that's okay with having Megan Thee Stallion shake her butt, but yet you can't have a Black woman like Condoleezza Rice actually, speak at some of these HBCUs and some of these events, all because she has an R beside her name. But Megan Thee Stallion can go speak and go all day long, and nobody bats an eye because you're not getting any intellectual anything from that. So what I'm trying to ask is, why is that okay?
And she got a great point, right? Because when you see somebody get up on stage, bending over, shaking their ass at an actual political event, and you say that's not tap dancing, you're just a liar at that point. You're just a liar at that point. Oh man. You know what? I don't think any party is for any people. So I don't think people in general should be a part of any party, to be honest with you. I think you should focus on policies and what you want and just use the government for what they have. I don't know why we as a people, whether you're Black, white, I don't know if you say Hispanic, Latino now, whatever, Asian. I don't know why we as people would kill ourselves over people that they're rich. They sit in their offices and in their meetings like they're above us all. I don't know why we bang it out on their behalf. It's crazy to me. I'm pretty sure they're in their offices and shit laughing at the rest of us down here at the bottom, fighting, and they're like, look at them, we got them all fighting again. It's crazy to me. I don't know why any of us would fight. I don't care what your background is. I do not know why you would fight for these people that would not fight for you.
And why are Black men preferably so comfortable with calling another group of Black people coons and not the side that has absolutely got nothing for the last almost 100 years?
Yeah, so I don't know. Okay, you talking.
Yo, what up? I gotta pause it again and say what's up to my brother T in the building. What up? I got all my brothers and my sister up in here today. Shout out to y'all. Love you all.
Me?
I'm absolutely talking to you.
Okay, so again, I don't agree with anything that the liberals do. Okay, I just don't. So, trying to make it seem like I support Megan Thee Stallion or all that buffoonery. I would, you know what? The word I would use for them are buffoons. I would use that. Buffoons. The black liberals are buffoons. That's who they are. If we have to put a name to it, I would say the black liberals are buffoons and the black conservatives are coons. That's what I would say.
Why not just say they're doing something wrong? Why not just say they're doing something wrong and say exactly what they're doing wrong?
I would say the reason I put a name to it is because the name, like you said, no history, right? That's something I really do know. I really have a very profound understanding of history. I've written several books, and I'm not as young as you think. I may look young, but I'm not as young as you think. The whole point I'm making is when you look at the liberal community in this country, all of their power came from the rights partially voting to empower the liberals. They did not have the power or the numbers until there was a flip in the 60s. Black people in this country were largely conservative and Republican. Listen,
there is
black
no flip.
people,
and even the person that y'all call the right winger, Donald Trump, y'all call him Hitler. Hitler was left leaning.
This one thing you're not gonna do. Don't say y'all.
I'm sorry, liberals. Because you're not a liberal. Liberals call Donald Trump Hitler and all that. Those are left wing ideologies. Those are not right wing. Okay, Margaret Sanger is not a right winger. These are all from the left, and the black community practice this still to this day. So I don't understand, how do you get that conflated with right wing? And even with that, hold on, and even with that, and let's say you just want to say that they are cooning and they're slave masters too. Okay, cool. Even with that, liberals have never been genuine with anything that they have put forth. They've never been genuine. So both groups can hate you, right? The white conservative can hate you. The black conservative the white liberals can hate you. But the difference is on the conservative side, you're able to do something that you absolutely cannot do as a liberal. You cannot practice economics, nor can you practice group economics. You cannot practice that doing liberalism, because liberalism does not support, one, anything outside of socialism and communism, but two, it doesn't support economics.
Okay, so Mika, the problem with that is that every Republican president that got into office literally exploded the deficit, while actually the liberals that don't know nothing about economics, actually reduce it, right? Once again, y'all can be the party of conservatives and elect a president that is not conservative, cheated on his wife with a porn star, grab woman by the pussy, is a felon. Nothing about him is conservative. You put the motherfucker on the pedestal. Once again, it's very okay to give labels. If y'all call victims, if y'all call BLM, whatever, the gays, and you have all these words for the war, I'll let you finish. If you have all these words for the left can call you a coon if you're acting like one. It's very fair. 1 second, please. It's a label. If you're acting like a coon, you are going to be called a coon. And my question to you and to Tommy is, tell me one black person that is actually a coon. Like one black person that you know, because I know a lot of black people that are Democrats that tap dance for the liberals. I can literally point them out in the crowd and say, "Is this and this and this and this?" Are you okay with identifying one coon and saying this person is definitely a coon, but we are not? Go ahead, the Mika and Tommy, and then I'll bring Lil up. Go ahead.
Jasmine Crockett, absolutely.
Jasmine Crockett is a coon.
Absolutely.
What?
Absolutely. Absolutely. While she sits in your face telling you, black women need this and that and the third, she's all about the illegal immigration, which absolutely directly affects what class of people, poor class of people, or poor people, and in her district directly affects poor black people. So you can't have one demographic. You can't have one demographic that you speak to, but you actually do for the other demographic.
How many of y'all noticed that in this conversation, it's obvious that the definition of what a coon is forever changing. It keeps shifting depending on the person's mouth that it's coming out of. It's just shifting. And you know what? And what's so funny about it is they're describing bad behavior on both sides. And depending on what side you sit on, you point across the aisle and you say, "Well, no, you're the coon." And they go, "Well, no, you're the coon." Well, no, you're the coon. But if they really agreed on that word and what it meant, you know what's so funny? They would have to take their fingers and point it back at themselves and say, "I am a coon," is what they would have to say. And so it's easy to not clearly define this word and really talk about it. I'm going to get into my spiel and my website, and I'm going to present the argument that if you're black, you should not use that word, period. And by using that word, and I'm going to prove it, by using that word, you actually make yourself a coon, even by using that word, because I don't think that you can redefine words. Shout out Prince says, does anyone actually define the term since everyone feels a certain group is that term? No, they do not at all. People think they know what a word means. It doesn't, or especially in the black community, they feel like, oh, we changed that word. No, you didn't. It's like, why do you still use the N-word, black people? Oh, because we changed it. It means something different now. Let a white person walk up to him and say, "What's up, nigga?" They ready to fight. Why are you mad? I thought you changed the word. I thought it didn't mean that anymore.
That woman is absolutely a coon. That is the definition, according to y'all. Okay, a person that is a sellout to their community. She absolutely sells out, and then she takes money from George Soros. You know, the small hats, the people that you guys say do this and that and the third. Okay, well, they're absolutely doing it to the black community, and they do it via that black woman.
What? There's a wild statement. I'm not even
It's
going
not
to
a wild
rebut.
statement. It's
No, no,
called,
it's so wild. No, you can call her wretched.
It's
You
called
can
comment
call her ghetto. You can call her a bunch of things. Mika
No,
is
I
the
spoke
first
to her. I
person.
spoke to her
Mika
policies.
is the first person that I ever heard call
That's because I'm
Crockett
the
a
first person to speak
coon.
to her
There's
policies.
you could talk about Jesse Lee.
He's a damn lie. Black man, they talk about Jasmine Crockett all the damn time. They be dragging that woman through the freaking mud. Man, he see how much like Fatty. I think he honestly wants to go so bad against Tommy or that side for some reason. I know after this video came out, Fatty did a whole live stream talking about Tommy and everything. He wanted an apology and all that. You know what I'm saying? He's a liar. And here's the thing. This is what confuses me. You just let me know. Do y'all think I'm insane, right? So they're arguing about who's a coon, who's not a coon, right? And both sides pointing at each other, right? Let's just say this. You believe these people, I would assume, the way they speak, some of the, okay, they believe in white supremacy and this system that is against them, right? And the system is designed to keep them down, right? But here's the problem. So these, according to this panel, you have the liberal blacks pointing across at the conservative blacks saying, well, look at you in power, look at you speaking. And it's not because you have a different political view than me. You're doing it because you want to uphold the white people, the racist white people, right? That control this whole system. And so therefore you're tap dancing and you're a coon. But if that's what they truly believe, and the goal was world domination, do you think, it's just a question, do you think that these white people in their system that they seek to control, do you think they would just put black people on one side? Or do you think they would put them on both sides? Let me ask it again. Do you think that they would put them on one side or on both sides? And this is why I shout out to Killer Mike. I really felt them when he said, when you see these black people arguing, a lot of times they're fighting over who got the better master. And when they feel like hey, I got the better master than you, what causes them to be dishonest is like what Pretty Kelly wrote in the chat is it has to in order to fit their narratives. And so they refuse to shift. And it's just a dishonest conversation at this point.
Peterson, you can call about the Samuel L. Jackson from Django, and you literally choose the Democrat for whatever reason. But I don't know, even in fiction, if you got it, you got it. Tell me one person that is a coon, and then Chaka and Nila, please get on the conversation.
First off, she's trying to tell you who the person is, and you're saying they're not because you haven't heard anybody call them that. Whenever somebody gets the name or the title, that's the first time they've been called that. Now, other people might follow it. Just like when the people said J-Lo's ass was that huge. It wasn't this big outcry for it until people started saying it. It happens that way. It's an epicenter of something. But I didn't ask you this. Why is it that none of y'all ever tell us exactly what a coon is? Because if you could tell us what one is, we could start pointing one out. Tell us what a coon is.
Yes, it's Samuel L. Jackson from Django. You are going to go out of your way to shit on black people, and you're never going to call white people out in ABC when they either displaying the same behavior.
Samuel Jackson's character on Django was not a coon. He was a Sambo. And I'll explain that later.
Or the worst behavior. Let me give you an example. You are going to call Jasmine Crockett a gang, like a thug, ratchet, non-polite, and she has no decorum, and your president is literally that shit. He's the biggest gangster. He's thug. He talks like he talks. He means what he means. He does. You see, you are interrupting me because I'm right. Right. If I was wrong, you wouldn't stop me. If I was wrong,
I was asking you. You have.
I'm answering the question. This is what 1 second. This is what I'm saying is two people are going to display the same behavior. You are going to attack the black person because there's an agenda. Now you make money. And then when the white person does the same thing or worse, you have no problem with this. And the evidence is, if your problem with that woman is decorum, why did you attack Barack Obama for 8 years when that's the man with the most decorum that was on the Black House, right?
But I never said anything about decorum.
No, absolutely. But I'm answering to Tommy. I'm answering Tommy. I'm not answering you, Mika. What I'm saying
is not. Because if you
yes, I am. So I'm going to give you two examples, right? Jesse Lee Peterson is a coon.
Why is he a coon?
Because
hold on. If y'all could just do me a favor. If y'all notice, I asked these people, what does this thing mean? And this is the IQ of the majority of blacks. They can only tell you by then giving you a picture of a thing running across a screen or telling you about something in a movie instead of just telling me the tenets of said thing. Imagine if you Imagine if you went to the dictionary right now and you said, I wonder what something else is. And it told you, go see the usual suspects. You'll know. That's insane. But go ahead.
Cool. No, I can answer.
That's because he can't define it really. We just see certain actions that we don't like, and I think that's what Tommy was trying to point out before is when you're having a conversation with somebody, the reason it comes off like you're not intelligent is because the same way if I ask you to define a word and you can't, you just throw out a bunch of examples, meaning you're attaching a behavior to a word, or you're attaching these feelings to this word. So if you're having an argument with me, because you can't defeat me with facts and respond, you just go, oh, you're a coon. And it's like, hold on, why did you call me that? What did I do? What did I say to make you feel that way about me? So it's like you're just shutting down the conversation instead of having the conversation by just calling people names. If I'm debating with a woman and she's very intelligent and she's beating me and I get stuck and I just go, oh, you masculine. Like, huh? What did she say that was masculine or wrong? Or what are you talking about? You can't have a conversation. You just got to throw out an insult at a person.
That. And once again, Tommy, you are the king of analogies, but all of a sudden you know nothing about analogies, right? No. Tommy is the king of Tommy is the king of
immediately started with an analogy.
He ain't lying though. Tommy is the king of analogies, so it is weird him not liking them.
Tommy is the king of let me use this as reference. And when people now Tommy, let me finish, right? When people take your reference,
does the same thing.
When
after it tells you something,
I don't
give you a reference.
I don't want to have a conversation about the conversation, but I'm just pointing out that you get very upset when people with low IQ take the things that you say literally when it was just a personification of what you want to say. Let me give you, for example. I got you, Tommy. I'm telling you what it is. Jesse Lee Peterson, like Pearl was on his show. Let me tell you what it is. Jesse Lee Peterson has Pearly things on her show, and she says, would you help me to bring Jim Crow back? Like, this is the action. This is something that a coon will say. Somebody that, for whatever reason, will always pander to white people and always is going to say things that are going to make white people very happy, while black people are going to be extremely offended, not because it's true, but because he's trying to be a shock jock and he's trying to actually grift towards money, validation, or promotion from the white culture against the black culture.
That is wrong again. If Jesse Lee Peterson wants Jim Crow back, that doesn't make him a coon. If he prefers Jim Crow, that makes him a Sambo.
Did I explain it enough, Tommy, or do I need another drawing?
I got a definition. I think I understand what Tommy's asking for, and I'm gonna say this, brother, and Shaka, you can
no matter how.
What up, T? T said, let me tell you what it is. What is it, T? No, my brother gonna say something crazy. Prince say he stopped Tommy to go back to do it exactly what Tommy explained. Yeah. Look, Fatty got something against Tommy, man. Them two been banging it out for a minute now, man. It's ridiculous. You would almost think they're dating. The back and forth with them two. Fatty wanted to dominate this conversation because let's be real. Tommy say a lot of things about people. Tommy doesn't call people names, and I think Fatty is pissed about it. And so he doesn't want Tommy to win this conversation. Because in his own way, he's like, look, Tommy, you call black women hair-hatted hooligans. You say the negress comment. So whatever. So what if somebody call you a coon? I don't care. That's Fatty's position. Yo, Kelly said pause. Man. You know what? I knew y'all was gonna say that, but it was too late. I couldn't even pause that. Play.
I'm kind of learning the rules here. You can't raise your hand. You just got to jump.
No. You just got to jump.
That already.
I'm gonna just say this
for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I just want to say this, right?
Shaka, we didn't pass you the microphone because you talked for 15 minutes before you actually raise your hand. It's not that we don't see you. It's that before the show, I said, let's please avoid monologues. And now, 1 second, please. Because I'm explaining you the structure of the show. Before the show, and this is actually the problem with us, we like to hear each other talk ourselves, but not others. I said, let's please not go on monologues. You went on a 5-minute monologue on a 7-minute monologue. I didn't pass you the ball, not because I didn't see you ask me for the ball, was because you already shot 7 times. So I'll let everybody get it, and then you got it, okay? Thank you very much.
I said Fatty and Tommy been banging out, and then Fatty follows that up by saying, you had the ball, then you had the ball. And I let you get a shot. His accent makes everything funny to me. Who saw the Fatty live where Fatty said he'll fly Tommy out there? He said Tommy was talking shit. And he said when Tommy get there, he says Tommy said he wanted to fight him. But then he said, Tommy, when you get here, it won't be what you think. So I don't know if Fatty knows some boxing or something like that. I don't know, or if he's bigger than what he seems like on camera. But yeah, them two, they going at it, man. It's hilarious. Fatty and Tommy banging it out.
Go ahead.
So coon originally, right? Because I like the there's etymology and then there's connotation when it comes to words. There's what the thing originally meant, and then when it came to be understood or used at. That's the basis when you get into word structure. Okay, so coon was generally applied to a lazy black person. Well, it first comes from the raccoon, right? With the eyes and the being black around the eyes. So it's a derogatory term based on the appearance of a black person. And then it got associated with someone being lazy, shiftless, not wanting to do anything. And then Sambo was also used as somebody who was loyal to the slave master or sellout. So a lot of times people will call somebody an Uncle Tom, but they really mean a Sambo, right?
What's the
Uncle
meaning?
Tom, huh?
Which
the
one is
meaning?
the meaning? Yeah, the exact meaning, because you named
The
like
exact
two.
meaning
Hey, right.
is when it was used, the exact meaning is someone who was lazy, shiftless, like a black who was lazy, didn't want to do anything, who would just, lounge around. Now, the point I'm getting at is that's the origin of the word and its usage to black people. It originates as a derogatory term on the appearance of a black person based on how raccoons got dark circles around their eyes, okay? And the behavior of a raccoon is where the distinction is drawn based on being lazy, because raccoons will just come up and steal your stuff, right? Like if anybody who lived around raccoons, they equated the behavior of a raccoon with black people, okay? Who when they wanted to do that. And then Sambo was a term that was used to denote what an actual Uncle Tom was. Uncle Tom wasn't the actual seller, it was Sambo. So what I'm saying is over time, Sambo and coon got merged to mean someone. This is the connotation, not the etymology. But when it got merged, it became known as anybody who was favoring or utilizing white people as the basis and foundation of what's best, and whoever played to that. Meaning anybody who's
You think in 2025 that word should still be exacerbated as you kind of making it with all the, the depth to it on the, the past, the history? We are in 2025 today. So it's kind of hard to still use rhetoric like that when you have people that agree with different types of groups or whatnot. It's kind of hard to just
why not
distinguish just coons.
Yeah, I don't
no,
think
no,
so.
why not? Why do y'all have the right to call everybody that you don't disagree with every type of names in the book? Why can the people that disagree with you do exactly the same? Why do you have the monopoly on aggression, which you can use every single word to describe the LGBT, lefties, progressives, y'all are communists, y'all are this and that? Why? This is my question. Why?
Fatty, it's because of history, a history that I do not believe is yours. And so therefore you don't understand. And so yeah, everybody calls everybody names, right? And I do agree with Fatty to a certain extent, is that we can't be a group of people that call other people names and then get mad when we get called names back. But as humans, we do contradict ourselves, or we can be hypocrites, right? And I agree. I just think the words like the coon word and stuff like that are just not words we should be using as a people to describe our own people. Anywho, got a website right here. This is from Jim Crow Museum. This is a .edu. I hope that's coming in clear enough. Let me blow it up. There we go. All right, let's get on into this. I found this article and I also matched it with what the other guy was saying. he probably just looked up, like Prince was saying in the chat, he probably just looked up the definition to the word like this. Get out the way. All right. Undignified person, you know, all this, whatever. And he probably just looked up a definition. But I went and I matched up those definitions, and then I just looked further into it, and then it brought me to this article that I feel like explained it perfectly. Okay. Kelly said, "Stop copying me." Oh, y'all think he's from PR? I forgot where he said he's at. Man, I forgot where he said he lives at. Damn. I forgot where he said where Fatty. Y'all talking about where Fatty from? I forgot where he's. Portugal. He's in Portugal. He says it all the time that he's in Portugal. But I don't know if that's like where he's from. Okay. All right. So this from Jim Crow Museum. Witness, understand, and heal. Right here to the left, this picture, you see a caricature, right? The coon caricature is one of the most insulting of all anti-black caricatures. The name itself, an abbreviation of raccoon, is dehumanizing. As with Sambo, the coon was portrayed as a lazy, easily frightened, chronically idle, inarticulate buffoon. Now, remember that dude before was speaking, who said he's intelligent, who said that he studies history. Who noticed in his first sentence what an ignorant fool he was? As with Sambo, the coon was portrayed as a lazy, easily frightened, chronically idle, inarticulate buffoon. Now, mind you, we just listened to him say that Sambo and Coon were separated, and then in 2025, he said they're together. They're the same word. They were always together, but at the same time, separate. That's why it says, as with Sambo, the coon was portrayed as lazy, easily frightened, chronically idle, or inarticulate, and buffoon. Remember, he also said that I'll call the conservatives a coon, but I'll call the liberals a buffoon. Kind of seems like they're the same word when you read the history on it. Anywho, moving along. The coon differed from the Sambo in subtle but important ways. See this? The coon differed from Sambo in subtle but important ways. Sambo was depicted as a perpetual child, not capable of living as an independent adult. The coon acted childish, but he was an adult, albeit a good for little adult. Sambo was portrayed as a loyal and contented servant. Indeed, Sambo was offered as a defense for slavery and segregation. So when he speaks of the guy from Django, Samuel L. Jackson's character, when he speaks about Jesse Lee Peterson, who says that he prefers Jim Crow and black people being segregated, and that's Sambo. Okay. Now, how bad could these so they offered Sambo So it says here that indeed Sambo was offered as a defense for slavery and segregation. How bad could these institutions have been? Asked the racialists. If black people were contented, even happy being servants. And so that's what Sambo offered for them. Moving on to Coon. The Coon, although he often worked as a servant, was not happy with his status. I repeat, the Coon, although he worked as a servant, was not happy with his status. He was simply too lazy or too cynical to attempt to change his lowly position. Also, by the 1990s, Sambo was identified with older, docile black people who accepted Jim Crow laws and etiquette, whereas Coons were increasingly identified with young urban black people who disrespected white people. Once again, whereas Coons were increasingly identified with young urban black people who disrespected white people. They thought Coons were dumb. So in reading all this, you can see what they thought about what they called a coon. It was never the one that sided with white people. But when you get a group of black people that just want to tear each other down, that's not doing any help in their community for real. So now you understand why you shouldn't use the word coon. Everybody on that stage that got something bad to say about black people, but at the same time, they think that they're on the right side. They think that they're fighting against the white power structure by calling their fellow brother a coon is, guess what? A coon. You're a coon if you use the word per the definition and the history of it. I said I would prove this. I don't need to do I gotcha moments. I said I would prove it. If you use the word to attack another person of your race, you are in fact becoming that word. You're calling him that word because you think that you can change your lowly position in the white power structure, this white supremacy that they're always preaching about. You're just simply too lazy or too cynical to change it. And therefore you use that word. That's why you shouldn't use that word. And that's the difference between Sambo and a coon. And then people want to act like, oh, well, you know what the word mean. No, you don't. Y'all been walking around calling people Uncle Tom. Don't even know the whole time Uncle Tom wasn't even the bad person, man. Y'all done threw so much dirt on that man's name. It's ridiculous. I think I'm gonna put this in the thing. Okay. Y'all want me to read some more of this? Stated differently, the coon was Sambo gone bad. The prototypical movie coon was stepping fetch it, the slow talking, slow walking, self-demeaning nitwit. It took his character almost a minute to say, I's be catching my feet now, boss. Donald Bogle, 1994, a cinema historian, lambasted the coon as played by Stephen Fetchit and others. Before its death, the coon developed into the most blatantly degrading of all black stereotypes. The pure coons emerged as no account niggers, those unreliable, crazy, lazy, subhuman creatures, good for nothing more than eating watermelon, stealing chickens, shooting crap, or butchering the English language. The coon character was born during American slavery. Slave masters and overseers often described the enslaved as slow, lazy, once pushing, an eye servant, and trifling. The master and the enslaved operated with different motives. The master desired to obtain from the enslaved the greatest labor by any means. The enslaved desired to do the least labor while avoiding punishment. The enslaved registered his protest against slavery by running away, and when that was not possible, by slowly working, doing shoddy work, destroying work tools, and faking illness. Slave masters attributed the slave's poor work performance to shiftless stupidity, desire for freedom, and genetic deficiencies. With that, we're gonna go back to the video. Mm. Mm, 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 mm.
I don't use the terminology like that. Coon,
So that's your
leftist,
problem.
all that stuff. I don't have to use that because you're gonna have people that's gonna vibe with certain groups, and it just is what it is. What faction are you a part of? What are your beliefs and ideals? That's what it's
No,
gonna
but
boil
that,
down
no,
to.
no, Jay.
2025.
We're not replying to you. Listen now, how Mika started talking, for example, right?
Yeah.
These are like is the communist, and look at these people. Like every
Those are
time
not
somebody
terms.
what?
Those are not derogatory terms. Those are
Yeah,
actually
okay. Okay. So
Those are derogatory.
Do y'all hear Fatty is trying to compare saying communist to saying coon? What the hell is wrong with this guy?
To be honest, my brother, it's called shaming language. It's
One
called
second.
shaming
If-
language.
1 second, please. If
but I don't
communist,
use it as a derogatory term. I
if
use it
communist
to-
is not a derogatory term because it designates some ideology, if I call you a Nazi, is that a derogatory term?
No, if I'm a Nazi, no.
Yeah, wait. You see? And that, Tommy, I got you. I promise. And this is why I'm telling that people, Tommy, you have to be patient. I got you, Tommy. This is your
It's
show today.
derogatory if you're not.
This is why I'm saying that you are being disingenuous. Every single person.
Yo, Prince says so. After you reading that, we got to go back and hear how stupid they are. Yeah, man, it just ill-informed. A coon was never somebody that pushed the white power structure. I mean, honestly, if you call somebody a coon, you're just really calling them an idiot. Or is somebody just lazy or don't have the know-how to escape? But when they would say that word, they were talking about those people disrespecting them. I mean, if they took his talking points and said, well, he was a Sambo, I guess it would fit a little bit more. But if you was talking about coons, the thing I could say is you could talk about the origins of like gangs, right? So you have these group of young black kids that are being attacked that form these gangs to fight back against the white gangs, right? Now, they're fighting against the white power structure. They're being disrespectful to the white power structure. The problem is the actions that they take to fight are also the same actions that are hurting their own community. And so they never leave their situation. They never change their position in life because they don't really have the intelligence to do so. They just know they got to fight back. They just know they don't want to go along to get along. Those are who white people will look at and say, those coons.
Person.
No, I asked that gentleman. Remember,
That's
I
crazy.
asked him. I said, what are you? So I can know what you are because I can only go by your talking points, and your talking points would lead me to believe or assume that you would be this. Now you can either tell me what you are, or I can assume by what you tell me because those are the only factual informations that I have to go off of.
Yeah. So based on that,
absolutely. So if I call Jay Beery X gay, he's not an insult because he's not gay, so he doesn't have nothing to care about. He's not gay. He's never sucked a dick. So why are you being bothered about being called gay? Like yalla. Hold on. I wasn't finished talking. I wasn't finished talking. What I'm saying is that y'all full of shit. Y'all know exactly what the insult is, even though you might not be. If I'm calling you a coon and you are not a coon, by your logic, you should shut the fuck up because you're not a coon, so you shouldn't be offended by it. Go ahead and got it. You got the microphone.
I wasn't offended by it. I asked a question. I asked the question in the fashion because I noticed he only called it to one side, right? And so since he's not a liberal, I wanted to know why then it's not applied to liberals, because he's not a liberal, which would say he's somewhere in between, I'm going to assume, because he still hasn't answered that question. So with that being said, I asked the question. There's absolutely nothing wrong with asking a question.
And Massa, don't answer. You know why? Because you identify yourself when you said, I'm not a liberal, neither I'm a Republican. And you know what she's trying to do? She's trying to pinpoint your position so she can attack you. Hey, Jay, please. Jay, if I'm not wrong, why y'all keep interrupting me? If I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, let me commit a mistake. If I'm wrong, let me commit a mistake, please.
Do y'all hear Fatty's lying ass talking about who somebody's trying to identify? In this conversation, Fatty called out and said, can I get a conservative to speak on behalf of the conservatives? He's the one that presented the labels and wanting to have the arguments. And then you got Massa down here acting like he ain't throw the first shots. But then the young lady, the lady here wants to make sure she's addressing someone correctly. And then he's acting as if she's wrong for doing that. You see how they act? That's why I don't like his actions as of recently. But I got to say, Tommy had a point when he said you got to speak to these people on recordings. You got to record them because they'll lie. They'll say things in the conversation continue. And by the end of it, what? I didn't say that. I didn't do this. What? Huh?
If I'm wrong, let me commit a mistake. I'm just pointing it out that she wants to know what Mansa is, even though Mansa denounced both sides. He said, these people on the left are these people on the right are these. Tommy said, there's low IQ if you call me coon. Like, Mika only wants to know what Mansa is so she can pinpoint where he is hiding in the bush so she can attack his position.
And look how he keeps misrepresenting Tommy's argument. He's not saying you're just low IQ if you call me coon. What he's saying is if we're having a healthy debate and your response to me after hearing my position, because you can't combat it with actual facts and or be logical, you just call me a name. He's saying that's low IQ.
Nothing to do with who he is. You already denounced both sides.
I would need to know what you are, because then if I say something, because it's first of all, it's an unfair advantage if I'm being upfront and honest with you and saying that these are my positions and we're having a conversation about positions.
No,
right? And yes, we are. We're having a
it's become bad faith. So let's do it. Hold on.
Just because you're toxic doesn't mean I'm toxic.
Mika,
so therefore, I asked him a genuine question, asking him, hey, what are you? So I am not assuming, because your talking points fit very well within this group, but you could be something else and you could identify somewhere else. So I asked the question. That is not being disingenuous. If anything, that's actually being very genuine, because what I receive from the other side is never extended hand saying, well, you believe in this and this and that, and if I say something else, no, that's not true. I'm giving him the opportunity to tell me exactly where he stands, so I don't
can't attack him.
So
Ali, after you go, let Tommy and Chaka get it, okay? And Illa, please refresh your device. We get Illa and Jane interrupted. I promise. Go ahead, Ali, and then Tommy and
he
Chaka.
used it as an example to saying that if I may think that liberals are bad, then the coons, it's not that he can't see that people can coon for conservatives. We didn't question if Tommy was a liberal or a conservative, Republican or Democrat when he was giving an example with the black woman and black man. When the black man's getting knocked down with the stick, he said they want their negros calm. That could be taken as derogatory.
I think the problem is these people that hold panels and they don't listen to what's being going on. Fatty said, let me get someone like a conservative or anything like that. Right, because the first guy that was speaking, Mansa, spoke, and he mainly attacked the conservative side, and he absolved the liberals of all crimes. And so Tommy spoke for the conservative side. This was started before pop culture Mika said anything. I think Ali just don't be paying attention to the conversations, or he just can't keep up. It's one or the other.
Or conservatives want their blacks and they Negroes calm. We didn't say nothing about black and Negroes, which could be a negative connotation towards blacks, but we made his coon instead of just staying on the conversation that we're having. If somebody feel like somebody a coon, we should not be offended by it if we want to use the word Negroes and blacks, Tommy. That's all I'm saying. So
that is a false comparison. Mansour said, for those blacks that believe, if they believe in conservatism, he said, I am not going to say that because Tommy was saying, it was calling out that Mansour didn't say nothing bad about with the liberals. He said, I'm not going to say the liberals are wrong and be a coon for the conservatives. Meaning his argument he presented that if you're siding with the conservatives, you could be a coon. You're tap dancing for them. When Tommy and Shaka was laughing and saying Negress, they didn't say that if you're a liberal, you're a Negress. He said that those conservatives, that's how they like their black people to act. He was saying that's how those people want their black people to act. He didn't just call a liberal a Negress and shut down the conversation like Mansour was trying to do.
If we're going to have the conversation, let's have the conversation. But if when you said that, someone could have been like, hey, is he a liberal or a conservative? Is he a coon or he not a coon? Why did he just say it? Why did he say that the way he said it? We want our Negroes black or we want our Negroes calm. You get what I'm saying? Same thing. He gave an example. He said blacks have always been conservative. We're conservative people. And then he gave the example, just because I don't say the liberals are bad doesn't mean I can't see that the conservatives be cooning. Yes, sir.
Sir, if he had asked me, what do you mean by Negroes, which it was obvious I was being facetious and funny, saying that if you were trying to say that they're slave masters, that's how they would refer to them, as we've heard them referring to black. And then for you to be intellectually disingenuous as you were to say Negroes and blacks is just as offensive as coon. Number one, blacks is what they call blacks. You even see that on your census. So let's not even play that game.
No.
And you also have black people with actual Negro on their birth certificate. And it's just two different examples. In one example, you have Mansour calling another black person a coon. And in Tommy's example, he said that's what those white people refer to black people as. So like I said, Ali just was not listening, or he just does not have the ability to follow conversations. Those are two different. I don't even know how he compared that.
Blacks,
okay, I'm sorry. No.
You said niggas.
I agree. Right? When you use those terms, nobody thought you would deliberately be trying to be that way towards anybody. Just like when he used it,
yes, because they saw I made a joke.
I agree. I agree.
Even Shaka jumped it. I was saying that they are not asking the.
Tommy, I agree with you.
What I'm saying
Mansour wasn't deliberately calling anybody.
No one
called you, but he wasn't calling nobody deliberately a
coon.
And
I wasn't.
Afterwards,
I didn't call anybody here a coon.
Afterwards, y'all got into the discussion. We got into the discussion of it. They were saying, you know what a coon is? And I was like, actually, since you're asking me, I'd like a definition of this word before I can point out a person who actually fits that definition. We are the only group.
And that's disingenuous, Tommy. That's disingenuous.
How?
Because we didn't have to explain
if he offends you,
hold on, please. No, this can't be that difficult.
We not.
If you ask me, wait a minute. If I said, can you tell me a team that's stronger going into the final quarter of the NBA season? I would ask, what do you mean by strong? What are you considering? Are you considering that they're in the playoff race? Or if they're not in the playoff race, but they're still strong, meaning by next year, they're going to be hell. You know, like what happened with Detroit. If I ask you, what do you mean? And thank you for the people who keep saying, stop cutting them off. Because this is easy. If I want to answer your question, which is, what do you consider fresh beef? Why would that be an argument? You know what fresh beef is. If you say I know what it is, what about the people in the audience that might not? You're resetting the table. This is lets you know y'all aren't used to audiences or used to producing. Because if someone asks, what does this mean? You wouldn't say you know what it means. Even if you believe they did, you would reset the table. So the audience now has an expectation of people who would fit that.
Right. So honestly, this is so the people on this panel are intellects. All the people that we brought on this panel is intellects. This is called deviation, Tommy. There's no reason to explain Coon. Let me finish. There's no reason to stop in this show to explain Coon with the people we have on this show and what people know as well too. If we don't have to explain what a black or negro was, people could have been offended by the nice stick.
Let me insane.
They were just offended that I used the term coon.
JB, please.
Hey, Ali.
Answer what a coon is. I gave the definition what a coon
If
is.
someone asked me how you define anything I've ever said,
and I finished. Tommy asked what it was. There were people who offended. The people who offended by that term.
It's not about offense. I just wanted them in because there are several different definitions, and y'all have heard them. Even the guy who was explaining
I'm gonna say one last thing.
To the point where they said, "Which one are we using?"
Okay, so now about this.
Said it.
Okay, so Tommy, can you tell us then? Can you edify the people?
I'm trying to find out. I don't call people this.
So you don't know what a coon
I
is?
know what it means.
So Tommy, you really don't know what a coon is,
sir? JV, did we not just notice there were so many definitions that we don't know where to put someone at?
And you can see that stupid smirk on Mansa's face down there because he knows what he did. You know what I mean? When quite simple, if you use a word and someone's like, hey, what do you mean by that word? He could have easily gave his definition and said, hey, well, when I use the word, this is what I mean. Okay, cool. Well, brother, because mind you, they wanted to further be the ones to argue about it because Mansa would not concede to the fact that he was being biased. He asked him, he said, look, if I point out the same behavior on the conservative side and the liberal side, why are you only calling one side the name if they're both doing what you say the definition of this word is? And so that's really how it started. It's the reason it's gotten to this point in this arguing is because when you're talking to people and they won't be honest, so the conversation can move forward, it just starts fighting. Yeah, you're right, Unusual. None of this fighting helps anybody. Dirtbite said, Tommy Rich. Losers should be listening, taking his advice. Losers will what you said will debate losers. Yeah, I wouldn't say just because he's rich. I would just say that in this particular conversation, he was correct and he was not yelling, he was not upset or anything. I have to be honest when I'm looking at conversations. He just wanted to know, hey, what do you mean by this word? Because you clearly have a bias. And what's so funny is Mansa says that he's not liberal, but he was just caping for the liberals. He was caping for them and blamed everything on the conservatives. Called the conservative coons. Tommy pointed out, hey, the conservatives and the liberals have the same behavior. Why would you only call one the name? He got caught in his contradiction. And now it's this whole argument going on because of his actions and his dishonesty.
That's why I asked him, like, what
I'm sorry. Y'all not. I'm sorry. Y'all not going to do this, right? This is Ali. I'm sorry because you are glitching, kind of, right? Okay. If you get offended by a word, you know exactly what that word means. That's the first one. Yes. If you get offended by a word and you say, y'all have low IQ and you know exactly what that word means because you are making an assessment of the person that said the word tune. So you will know exactly what it is to call that person low IQ. It will be very disingenuous for me to come around and say, define IQ. What is IQ? Can you tell us what IQ is? Everybody on this program, please.
You asked for me. Y'all overtalk. I just hope y'all let me at the end.
No, Tommy, absolutely. Absolutely.
As long as you get
absolutely.
And if you notice, Shaka Amos keeps putting his hand up, he has not had a chance to speak because Fatty is trying to control the conversation. This is how you know somebody wrong and their information ain't worth shit. Is because he's doing nothing but repeating the same thing over and over and over and over again. To what he's trying to do is exhaust the audience where people just say, you know what, hey, I just want to move on. And so, you know what, Fatty, you got it. You're right. And that's what he's trying to do. He's being a terrible host at this point. And I noticed it too, even with the comment section for this video. People in the audience were saying the same thing. Like, why are you not letting Shaka add his information in? Just this same guy, Fatty, who has some type of vendetta against Tommy. He just wants to overly control the conversation.
I'm saying it's cute when y'all are the last ones to talk, but y'all never, after y'all finish, let that person say, well, here's the part you got wrong about what you just said.
Absolutely. But there's the
Exactly, T. It's the T said I call that the fuck it, you got it method. Yeah, like you got it, you won. And it works with everything. I just watched not watch, listen to. It was a podcast talking about it. It was this guy, he was wrongfully convicted. When they went back and spoke to the jurors about everything that was going on, that was one thing that occurred. The jurors were actually split. They were going to be a hung jury. The judge would not let them go home. The judge actually made those people stay down there. I mean, over 24 hours. I mean, could not go home for over 24 hours. Do you know? And that's wrong. Do you know that those people ended up just voting him guilty just so they could go home? They was like, fuck it. They talked to the people later on, and one of the jurors, the lady, she was crying. She said, I did not want to vote that way. They said, why did you vote there? She was like, we were in there so long. Then you had other people, they wouldn't budge, and people just started caving in and saying, okay, fine, guilty. But she said it was her and a couple of more people that were holding out because they didn't really feel that he was guilty. But the fuck it, you got it method caused them to vote a way that they didn't truly feel.
But there's hold on. Hey, Tommy, this is stuff that other content creators try to do, right? Andrew Wilson is known about doing this too. Are we going to stop the show this entire time and define words now? If we're going to play cake like this and everybody start doing this, then everybody got to know it. Hold on, Tommy, and you got it right after me. That means we're going to stop the show and we're going to start breaking down all these terms, right? That's what we're going to do today.
I tell again, long as I can answer.
Of course.
When I'm on my show, when people ask, what does this mean? I give them a quick definition so we're all in the understanding. I've never felt like that derailed the show to get a definition of what we're about to discuss.
Yes, sir. So can I respond to
if somebody said, what is LGBTQ before I say it? Why would I not tell them this is what it is? Why would I say, you know what it is? And I want to address what Fatty said. He said, you would know what something means. You would never say it was low IQ. That is not true. Anybody that follows me knows that I say, when you got to just call something a name, which is what I asked Mansa, why do we have to call anything these names? Why don't we define what it is so there's no loose edges? Why don't you say, if like there's a difference between saying somebody's gay, because y'all have heard people call somebody gay and they didn't do anything with a man or a woman. They did nothing. And you still call them that. So having a definition allows people to stop just blanket umbrellaing people. Because when you call somebody, how many of y'all been called a pedo online?
So,
you touched a child?
Hold on. So hey, Tommy, everybody on the panel, do y'all know what an Uncle Tom is?
Yes.
And the man just told you it's wrong. Man just told you that was wrong.
I'm asking, and that's fine. That's if my brother said
literally
You see that, like, that's one thing about Ali too. Like when I first started listening to him on YouTube and stuff, I used to think like he was well rounded, and then I started realizing like bro just be lying. Like, you know, most people do not know what an Uncle Tom is. They don't. And when y'all just read the definition, they read and went over what an Uncle Tom was before and admitted that majority of black people that talk about Uncle Tom don't know. That's why you have people now coming out and you got people doing YouTube shorts, Instagram, things like, hey, did y'all know that Uncle Tom was the hero? And this whole time we've been using it the wrong way. So no, most people don't know what no damn Uncle Tom is. You can be offended by a word because you think you know what it means. and not really know what the word means. The same way I just went over the history of the coon and the coon caricature and proved most people don't know what that word means. If they did, they would not use it. Just like with the N word. Most bad people don't know what that word means. It means nothing to them, and that's why they use it. Because if it meant something to them and they really knew what it meant, it wouldn't come out their mouth. And that's including everybody, even me. You know it's an offensive word, but don't act like you changed the meaning of the word. Because like I said, if a white person walked up to you and said it, you'd be ready to fight them. And even then, you still don't quite know what it means because you use it. And it doesn't mean anything to you anymore. And I think everybody's guilty of that, including me.
Said it, didn't he, Jay? He said they say Uncle Tom and they're wrong.
Yeah. No, that's not what I said.
That's not what he said.
What they mean is Sambo.
One second. I'm confused. 1 second, please. Friends. Hey, friends, let's stop the conversation about the conversation, please. I illustrated the coon. Mansa went to the Oxford Dictionary and gave the definition of a coon by the letter. What is the confusion? So we can move along.
Well, he gave about three definitions. He went through the history of it. It was very confusing, just being honest.
So JB, no, fair. No, that's fair, please. 1 second, please. No, please, 1 second. JB and Tommy, define coon so we can move on with the conversation. Go ahead, please. Both of y'all, that is very confusing. Define the word coon so we can move on with the conversation. Go ahead, please.
Someone that you might feel caters to white people's opinions.
Who didn't know that?
That's how I would look at it.
Okay, Tommy?
Okay. I look at it as any black person that doesn't follow a line with whatever black people have defined as this is how a person of color in America should think. You should automatically align with a person that is black. If you take the side of a non-black person in any opinion, you will now be called a coon. I've seen it 1,000 times. If a black person is having a discussion and it's about a white person, you are a bad person. You sided with the white. Even if the white was 100% right, we're told you cannot side with that person. You're cooning.
There's not that no.
He actually did
with the white.
I answered it, and now that's a lie.
No, hey, Tommy, you know why we can't accept that? Because just because women think that you are a misogynist, if they can't act like if just because the big populace of women think that misogynist is somebody that just goes and criticizes women, you know that the definition is not the definition. We actually correct him. No, misogyny is the hatred of woman and is A, B, C, D. Just because the biggest populace thinks that misogyny is just criticizing woman, that doesn't mean that makes it true.
No, that's
right?
moving the goalpost right there.
Thank you.
He's moving the goalpost.
All the black audience is seeing what he's doing right now, and they don't like me. That's crazy.
Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, any leaders, Fred Hampton, any leaders you can point to talk simultaneously about their community and the white community as well too. So that's not a coon. A coon is typically a person who completely panders to the white society.
Y'all use the word coon differently today than 50 years ago. I can't believe you just did that.
Hold on. That's why I explained the difference between etymology and connotation. Because there's a way a word was originally used, how it comes to be used, and the way it's used today is the way it's being used.
It's not the same as when Martin was called a coon.
So tell me.
Martin was called a coon because he was up there. They said kissing the white man's ass instead of fighting him.
Okay, so
can I say something about the word?
Absolutely, Shaka. Absolutely. Hey, Tommy, tell me one time that calling somebody coon was appropriate.
Well, see, here's the thing. That's why I asked for it. I don't use that term because I don't see how it's appropriate. Just like when they said the word Nazi. When you asked her about Nazi, she tried to explain it, but y'all didn't let her do it. She said, if you are in the Nazi party and someone called you a Nazi, you would not be upset. Just like a communist, if you were in the Communist Party. It is not inherently an insult, which is why if you gay, it ain't an insult. You know who is an insult to call someone gay? A person that you know ain't, which is why more women call straight men gay than gay men gay.
So Tommy, this is the problem with what you're doing, right? I ask you a very specific question. I ask you, tell me one time where somebody did something that, by your definition,
I said
that
I
one
don't
second. No, Tom, 1 second, Tommy. It's like me saying, Tommy, I know people overuse gay. Give me an example of a person being actually gay. And Tommy would say, he suck on some dick. And I was like, oh,
I don't believe
no,
a
no,
coon
no. 1 second,
exists.
Tommy. Hey, Tommy, that's exactly what I'm asking
I
for you,
don't
right?
believe a coon exists. That's my
Okay.
answer. How can I give you the example
okay.
of thing I don't believe exists? Now I can give you an example of what people perceive one as. I can
Okay.
do that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why Fatty. It's gonna sound weird when I say this. I don't know why Fatty's going so hard on this subject, and I apologize for how that sounded. I'm done. I can't watch no more of this. It's been what we're going on 2 hours now. This is just ridiculous. This whole conversation. The reason it couldn't have been a quick conversation, uh, is because they don't really know what the word mean or the history behind it, and they're just ignorant, and they just want to attack each other and beat each other down. And so the word that they're trying to use against each other is they're all acting like that word. Okay. That's what's going on. And so that's why the title is today The Dangerous Word That Divides Us Rhymes with TOON. I'm gonna give my final thoughts, and I already prepared them. Okay. The word coon carries a deeply racist history that makes its use harmful. I repeat, the word coon carries a deeply racist history that makes its use harmful and self defeating when spoken within the Black community. Originally, white supremacist caricatures in the 19th and early 20th centuries defined the coon stereotype as a Black servant who was not happy with his status and portrayed as too lazy or too cynical to attempt to change his lowly position. This slur was designed to dehumanize, ridicule, and justify oppression by painting Black people as complacent and inferior. When Black individuals use the term against one another today, they unintentionally echo that same racist framework, reinforcing the very stereotype that was weaponized to demean them. In effect, the act of deploying the word mirrors the cynicism and complacency described in its original meaning, acting out the role of the coon by perpetuating division instead of rejecting the language of oppression. For empowerment and solidarity, it is vital to retire this word entirely, recognizing that its roots are inseparable from systemic racism and cultural degradation. I said all that to say that if you use the word coon to attack another Black person, you are in fact being a coon yourself. And there's no escaping that. So just stop using the word. And it was very sad watching a group of Black people fight to be able to use that word, or why it's fair that they use that word, or two wrongs make a right. Because if we call other people names and everybody else calls each other names, then I should be able to call people names. And that's just an ignorant way to be. Okay. I want to say shout out to all my people, my brother T, my brother Marcus, my brother Prince, my sister Kelly, everybody that came through. Did I get everybody? Those are all my mods. Prince, Marcus, Kelly, T. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for all those that was in the show today, in the chat, participating in the conversation. I appreciate you all. Don't forget, man, to thumbs up the video, man. Put me in the algorithm, coach. And subscribe and share this conversation with somebody else. Talk about it. See what your friends and the people around you think about this. A lot of y'all spend a lot of time on spaces, whether it be Clubhouse or X. So might be a great title for you to have one day. What do people think about that word, or us using any of the words that originally the people that may have oppressed a group of people may have used? Should those people that were oppressed use that same word that was used to oppress them against the people that were getting oppressed right alongside of them? So I'm gonna give special shouts out. Let me see. Everybody was in the conversation today. Marcus, Prince, T, Matt, Kelly, Joy. Shout out to Orland, Melody, Jeffrey, Bagel, Whiskey, Aco, Draco, Dirt Bike Juice, American Polymath, Cosmic Black, Angela, JY Dub, Sky Rob, The Battle Zone, Stephanie, Marie, First Turn Red, JD 11, Pom Pom, Isaiah, Blickadoo, and James. Man, shout out to you all. I'm about to get up out of here. I might be back on a little bit later, but check out. I know I got to come back and record some videos and stuff that should be coming out later on this week. Man, I appreciate you all. Much love and respect to everyone. Thank you for being a part of this difficult, sensitive topic. Much appreciation. I suck at goodbyes because I hate them. So I guess I'll say I'll see you later. This is Risky Behavior. I'm your host, Diabolical. I'm out.
Risky behavior.